Welcome everyone, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right in because today we're unpacking the ultimate evolutionary success story of the ocean's apex predator. I mean, for a lot of people, the very word shark brings to mind this single terrifying image of a mindless eating machine, right? But when you actually look at the data and the biological reality, a completely different, infinitely more fascinating picture starts to emerge. Let's strip away all those Hollywood myths and look at the sheer biological engineering that makes these creatures so incredibly successful. 2,500. Now, that isn't just some random number we pulled out of a hat. It's actually a massive testament to their relentless drive. You see, being apex predators at the very top of the food chain means their prey can actually be pretty scarce out there in the vast open ocean. So to survive, they're constantly in motion. A shark will travel as much as 2,500 miles, which, by the way, is roughly the distance from New York all the way to Los Angeles, just searching for its next meal. Seriously, imagine that level of endurance. They really don't have the luxury of just staying put in one place. Their entire survival depends on this perpetual, tireless movement across whole oceanic expanses.
So let's move into Section 1. What is a shark, exactly? We're going to look at the anatomy of an apex predator.
Sharks actually belong to a very specific class of fish known as chondrichthyes, and their absolute secret weapon? They don't have a single bone in their bodies, like literally none at all. Instead, their entire skeleton is made entirely out of cartilage. Yes, that's the exact same flexible stuff you feel if you wiggle your ears or push on the tip of your nose. By trading in a heavy, rigid, bony skeleton for a lightweight, super flexible cartilaginous one, they are perfectly engineered for that constant 2,500-mile cross-country swim we just talked about. It makes them lighter, way faster, and just incredibly agile in the water. Which brings us to Section 2, Shark Sensory Superpowers. These guys are quite literally built for the hunt. Now, if you were to ever run your hand along a shark, which, I don't necessarily recommend, you'd find their skin doesn't feel like normal fish scales at all. It actually feels incredibly rough, kind of like coarse sandpaper. And why is that? Well, it's because they are literally covered in tiny microscopic teeth. Yeah, you heard that right. They are essentially wearing a suit of armor made of teeth from head to tail, which completely streamlines their bodies and protects them as they slice through the depths. It's wild. But hey, the armor is really just the beginning of the whole shebang. They also possess phenomenal eyesight, complete with highly adapted night vision for hunting in super dark waters. Add to that an insanely precise sense of smell that lets them detect prey from hundreds of meters away. But their true superpower, okay, get this, they can actually sense electromagnetic fields. They have these specialized organs near their mouths and eyes called the ampullae of Lorenzini, and they essentially act like a built-in biological EKG machine. Through these tiny organs, they can detect even the faintest little heartbeat or a tiny muscle twitch of a fish just hiding out in the sand. It is a completely foolproof biological radar system.
Moving right along to Section 3, Extremes of the Species. We're going from tiny to titanic.
It is honestly staggering just how diverse this family tree gets. We so often think of the shark as this one single type of animal, right? But on one extreme end of the spectrum, you've got the dwarf lantern shark. This is a predator so remarkably small it can literally fit right in the palm of your hand. Now contrast that directly with the absolute giant of the ocean, the whale shark. These guys grow to a massive 12 meters long. To put that into perspective, that's about the size of a standard school bus. So from a tiny hunter you can hold in your hand to a massive gentle giant, the evolutionary branches of the shark family are just absolutely incredible.
And actually, speaking of the whale shark, 3,000! Out at sea, most typical sharks have a standard set of somewhere between 5 and 15 rows of teeth working at any given time. But the massive whale shark, it possesses a staggering 3,000 teeth in its bite line. Thankfully for us, they're gentle filter feeders rather than aggressive hunters of large prey. But still, just try to imagine the sheer biological energy and, honestly, the dental bills required to maintain that kind of extreme anatomy.
And that leads us nicely into Section 4. Ancient ocean survivors, and their 450 million years of evolution.
But wait, before we dig into that massive timeline, there's actually one really bizarre physiological vulnerability we have to talk about. It proves that even the ultimate predator isn't completely invincible. It's this phenomenon known as tonic immobility. Basically, if certain sharks are flipped upside down out at sea, it triggers this really profound state of paralysis. They just completely freeze up and cannot move for up to 15 minutes. It's almost like someone hit a built-in biological factory reset button. It's just a strange, fascinating little glitch in their otherwise flawless armor.
But clearly, that tiny glitch hasn't exactly held them back. I mean, we can trace their origins all the way back to the late Ordovician period, which is over 450 million years ago. Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. The very first shark scales appeared while they were swimming in our oceans before trees even existed on land. No way, right? They've survived multiple mass extinctions, shifting continents and ever-changing oceans, somehow perfectly evolving from those very early origins into the over 500 distinct apex predator species that completely dominate our waters today.
So, that leaves us with one really big question. With 450 million years of practice under their belts, what on earth will they evolve to do next? I mean, they've already perfected the cartilage skeleton, they've mastered electromagnetic hunting, and they've completely diversified to conquer every single corner of the ocean. Now, as human activity rapidly changes the temperature and the very makeup of our oceans, it really makes you wonder exactly how these ultimate biological survivors are going to adapt in the millennia to come. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, keep asking questions.